I'll call the meeting to order, showing that we've got in attendance Mr. Trini and myself, Amanda and the clerk. And our topic this evening is malapportionment, whether we are or we are not. Was Dean Gates going?
Dean is out of town today.
Okay.
So,
Well, with the information that you've got for us, who else is on this committee?
Pete.
Pete? Okay.
Do you know about the meeting?
Yeah, let's give him a couple of minutes.
Okay.
And see if Pete makes it. I actually think Paul's part of this too. He hasn't made any meetings. Is he actually a member or just wanting to come? He's texted me a couple of times during meetings that I can't quite make it or I'm on my way and
He's working.
he's
did you know
working.
I would have to check the website?
I'm checking.
Okay.
Thank
No,
you, Amanda.
No matter. But, I mean, Dick and I are
In agreement.
absolutely in agreement that we just want to go with it. We're not malapportioned and just,
We're not malapportioned to worry about it for this. As far as I'm concerned, we're fine.
I think you're correct. And the issue, oh good, maybe that's Pete. Nope, it's John. The issue that I think we want to discuss is the process, probably more than whether or not we're malapportioned. So do you want me to talk about that a little bit, what I think the issue is?
let's give Pete
Okay.
a couple of minutes.
And Paul is on this committee also.
Oh,
Is Paul coming?
I don't think I noticed
Let me
Paul.
just text him and ask
Yeah,
him.
text him and see. I think he works Tuesdays until, because he's always making a mad dash through the door just in
To-
time to.
Paul Holman is right here. I'm going to ask him. Are you coming to our meeting?
Hi, come on in.
Thank
How
you.
are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Good, good. Glad to see you.
We need to find a hex wrench or something and tighten chairs. They're just loosening up.
I will put that on our list,
Yeah,
Ernie.
really. And that's all we need is just to be tightened.
Let's see if I get a oh shit response back from him. What do you mean? Are you coming to our election meeting? We'll see what this says.
Yeah.
There's an election meeting?
He should say that because I didn't send it to him, so I apologize for that. I think I try to use the last email, and unfortunately, I made an error assuming that the last time we met that he wasn't a part of the group, so that would be my fault.
Barbara, you said that with what the state did when they did their final redistricting and got it approved, it actually affected about one city block.
That's correct, and you're looking at that. That's the one that you're looking at right now.
That's one in District 4. This one?
Yeah, Amanda, can you tell where that is on this map? I'm not sure.
I don't think it's on this map because it's
Okay.
520
And 520 didn't show up on this map.
no.
I'm just wondering if that's in the Penland Park area or something.
It
Or
is
East Ridge.
not in Penland Park. It's Airport Heights, and it is sort of. Paul Honeman has a rental unit over here, so he'll know exactly where it is. It's just on the edge of Airport Heights in the downtown area, and the state's line shifted one block before their the final. Is that what we call it now? And
It'd be
so-
easier if we didn't have the state to worry about it. Oh, where are you? Hey, Paul, it's Dick. I'm here with Barbara, Amanda, Ernie, and myself. We have an elections committee meeting, you know, where we eat food at downstairs at Assembly Chambers. Anyway, you're on our committee. So we have a meeting today that starts at 3 o'clock, and we'd like to know, where are you? Turn the red and blue lights on and get over here. Give me a text, bye-bye.
You should have told him to shorten up his message, to leave a message. Your
The
battery
message
died
is
waiting to
forever.
leave a message.
The message is forever.
I was sitting there looking at it. What, is Paul talking to you, or is that actually
Yeah.
way too much information?
Yep.
This is Paul, leave a message. Okay, Barbara, share with us your.
Okay, so, the issue that we need, the issues that we need to talk about, first, there's a new draft of this being proposed, but I think that the conclusion is the same as long as we can get that 10%. But let me just back up with the one thing that disturbs me. Well, there's two things, but the one that disturbs me the most is that the data that you're looking at, and this is the troubling part, is this data that you used in 2012 that redistricted yourselves is census data, all right, which is what I think we understand that we should be using. This data that's being proposed now,
By the state redistricting?
no. This data is an amalgamation, it is a summary of data from the Anchorage Community Survey. It's a summary of data from 2007 to 2012. So my concern about that, and every time I've tried to drill into this data, is that you're comparing apples to oranges. Because of that, what and this is something that Amanda and I are talking about from the clerk's perspective, is to make sure in the future, we should make sure that state redistricting is done. And then that way we don't have split precincts, because we have to pass the one so we can avoid that split precinct. That would really help us, and we'd really appreciate it. But also so that we're using census data. Because the alternative is that every time someone presents a different data set to us, they could say, here's the data set, you're malapportioned based on this data set, and then we'd have to reapportion.
Okay, I thought we've used census as a trigger in the other times we've done this.
We did when we did.
Because I know when I was on the Senate the last 2 times, we've used census data, I thought.
Okay? So this is, it's an amalgamation of
Right.
census data.
Yeah.
But it's not census data. It's a summary of census data from 2007 to 2012. So what I'm suggesting, and I think what the redraft is going to show, it's so you've got 2 different categories. You've got, and this is this data is from our lands department. So the problem is that, and Amanda and I have discovered this with elections, is that the census data comes in triangles. Is that right?
Not necessarily. That was like the example we
Okay.
used, but it comes in specific tracks.
Census tracks.
Right.
Okay.
They don't line up with community councils,
Right.
natural rivers or streams or anything. It's just these
Blocks.
federally mandated blocks of land.
Or municipal parcels. So the Community Development, AWWU, they have to make some assumptions to get the census block data to match, so their data is not census data.
Sure.
So what we're gonna try to propose is some type of, we're gonna go back to the census data that Steve Colligan used
Mhm.
in 2012, and you're gonna make a decision on declaring yourselves malapportioned on
Based
that.
on that
And that goes back to what you said, Ernie, in the original document, it says the numbers are not likely to change.
Yes.
Right.
And in the, when you reapportion then, the deviation was 2.5%. I'm just calling that off the top of my head, but I.
2.48.
Okay,
Twitter and I were
thank
talking
you.
about 'em.
Mhm.
Okay, so now, using this new data, it's 9.6.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, that's a huge, so you and I are both wondering, how did we go from 2.5 to 9.6?
Yeah.
It's because it's not the same data.
It's not the same data.
Well, I'm not interested in using amalgamation of data because that's gonna change every couple of years. We're gonna be playing this stupid game again. The charter says we go off census
On
data.
census every 10 years.
Reported to us. And I'm happy to do it that way and not do it with amalgamation of data because that could change every couple of years. We go through this redistricting and fight all over again.
Or you keep ending up having to justify it.
Yeah.
You know, well, why, you did it then, why didn't you do it now? I disagree with your data. So that is what I anticipate happening, is that we'll have a redraft of this in the next, I'm gonna say next couple of weeks, because this just happened.
Mhm.
I thought we were in the process of being close to introducing this, but because we kept looking at the data, I think there's just gonna be a little change. So I'm not gonna say in 2 weeks,
Whenever.
but maybe it'll be 2 weeks from that. We'll have a
Okay.
look
Okay, I'll
at
be out
it.
of town, like I said, the 30th of September to the 7th of October.
Okay,
Have it after that.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
well, I'll
I don't
be-
want to have
I'll
it
be-
while I'm gone.
okay,
Well, I'll be gone from the 23rd to the 6th, 23rd of September till the 6th of October.
You and I are
You're gonna be
gone.
back for the meeting?
No, I'll
The
be on the
meeting's on,
phone.
you'll miss the meeting, okay. Yeah, I'll
Okay.
be back for the meeting.
are you gonna be gone for the meeting on the 23rd?
No, I'm here for the
Okay, so you're gonna leave after the
Oh, yeah,
meeting?
no, I always
You're
do it
really
where I
good.
do the meeting and then leave after the meeting.
I'm picking up Rose, and we already have tickets, so we're going to be gone.
Yeah. Barbara, do we have any idea of our schedule for next year?
You know, we do, but I need to final that up. Amanda and I have gone through it, and I'll just tell you, Heidi picked every other, week just going through the calendar, and then Amanda and I went through it, and we're making some tweaks, partially to give you a little bit longer breaks here and
That's-
there. But also, if we take off spring break, it's spring break and NCL. That's a lot of people that would like that week
Mhm.
off.
Mhm.
And we think we can pull that off. It makes other things a little bit more dicey. So we have Amanda and I just have to sit down with Heidi and final it, and we can probably do that this week.
Amanda, you should look at the National League of Cities meeting in November every year and make sure we don't have an assembly meeting that week. We consistently do.
November's
Yeah.
And LB freaks out all the time.
I know last
I-
year there was.
It's
no
gonna
way
happen
we
this
could
year,
avoid
too.
it. Yeah. there
Well,
was no
November is
way.
a challenging month because there's NCL and then there's also AML.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And over the last couple of years, we've been at the same time as AML.
I know, LB asked me to bring it up, so I'm doing it.
So what I'll do is she can win in March, but I'm not sure what we can do in November.
Well, let's let her win on one of them.
Right, and AML, there's very seldom anything in the evening unless it's a social event, so it's not like the end of the world if we do a meeting and there's AML in town. That's just my opinion, and those social events in Nome here, they start at 5 and they're done at 7 or so. So it's just that's not worth, as far as I'm concerned, putting into the calculation that you're doing there.
Okay.
Let
We
her
also
win on
looked
one.
at Monday holidays and tried not to have an assembly
Yep.
meeting
Thank
following.
you.
'cause I
Well, as
just-
soon as I can get it, I've been waiting to buy my season tickets for the Performing Arts Center for the Anchorage Concert Association. And Sandy keeps going, we gotta get our trips planned for outside, and I said, I gotta get the assembly scheduled.
We'll get it done this week. Amanda and I, the other thing that happened that's really strange in 2015, the election is on the 7th.
Yeah.
And so when you decide when you have to introduce and approve ordinances to get them on the ballot, oddly, it's February 3rd is the last day. It's not the last meeting in January. So Heidi had the last meeting in January, and so I think we're gonna bump it to the February, cause we can.
Mhm.
So anyway, that's kind of where we're at.
Let me just tell you how much I appreciate what you guys do with the schedule. We had a good year on the assembly. I mean, I've been in a lot of years where we meet every other week, every week. This is nice. This is like a vacation with you guys. You gave us a great schedule this year. Nobody on the assembly should be upset about when we met this year.
No, I know.
You had 2 and 3 weeks between meetings.
Well, we went crazy trying to put that, because the one thing that we just could not do, and we tried every way we could, was accommodate Elvie with the, yeah.
And spring break, and they're the same
Yeah.
week, there was no way we
Just
could
no
pull
way
that off.
Which you guys did a great job this year.
Thanks.
So thank you.
Okay.
I haven't heard back from him.
No, well,
Oh, here's a message. Let me see what it says.
I guess our direction to you is going to be go ahead, draft the document. We will sponsor it.
Okay.
And we concur with you that it should be based on census.
When?
Okay. Tell him my apologies.
Yes.
So, okay, good. And
Because
then-
I'm betting, and we don't want to spend the money to do it, but I bet if we went back to Steve Colligan with the new, even with what the state did, it wouldn't skew those numbers very much.
It
With him,
shouldn't.
3:30 today, it's over. I'm telling him, 3:30 today, and it's over.
And it's over.
So I have I think I have one other election issue that I thought maybe we should discuss with you, and that's possibly a resolution regarding a call for a special election. So the code says that the assembly shall call for a special election within 30 days. And Amanda and I worked this Saturday, and we went through Title 28 to make sure that we don't have any issues for you. And tonight on the agenda, there's an introduction of a waiver, and you're going to waive the Lusac Library as a polling location. And we're going to lay on a table an AIM, well, not next week, we'll introduce it, so it'll go on the agenda, an AIM that lists some other things that we need you to waive. They're really irrelevant, because the issue is we've contracted with the state to operate the election, so it's logical that the state's rules and regs will apply and that ours won't. But we still want to point that out.
Right.
Do you guys, I saw a video the state produced, or FLCI did, that you can now vote off your computer for state election and fax fax it in.
Did you say that you can?
You can. You can fax it in. Print it off and fax it in. I don't know if you guys knew about that yet.
You can
So-
do that. You can vote by fax with us too.
Okay. I just haven't heard anybody doing it with us, so I didn't know. Or we're not publicizing it.
We
Well-
have about 100 voters every year who vote
Fax.
by electronic transmission.
So there's a couple of issues. We want to make sure that we do it well, and we really did the big push on absentee by mail. So we wanted to make sure we did that well before we promoted something that we weren't quite as sure that we could do as
reason I
And
well.
brought
our
it up is-
voting, sorry to interrupt.
It's all right.
Our voting by fax and electronic transmission, the state got a new software that they use, and we have set up a secure write fax and a secure email but we don't really have a system that would allow us to have a large number of voters. We wouldn't be able to process those. But we have looked into, in the future, there's other alternative voting methods, and that is one of those that is allowed with some of the alternative voting methods that we've looked into.
So we'll
Because-
keep you posted.
Thank you. With this election going on, all the dynamics, there's all sorts of bells and whistles and people being flown in from the outside. You're going to see a lot of people working this campaign, and they're going to try and get everybody to vote, whether it's by mail or email or fax or how.
So one of the we drafted this resolution for the assembly to call a special election concurrent with the state election. And Dennis Wheeler said, I don't really think that's necessary. The resolution, did that. Well, Amanda and
What
I
do you
would
think?
Amanda and I would feel much more comfortable if you would call a special election, and we've got time, so we thought we'd introduce it this week. And so it'll be on your agenda for the 23rd. It's just a resolution. And so you don't need a public hearing on it, and then you can deal with the AO on the waiver at the same time. Our position is that the code specifically says the assembly shall call for a special election.
Who does the code say charter say is required to do the elections? The elections in your area. While I
Mhm.
appreciate Dennis's opinion, this comes to rest with you guys. You're a clerk.
Well, and to some degree with you, because what the resolution said, and we'll attach that to the documents, what the resolution said was that, the election shall be held on November 4th, the state general election, if the clerk can enter into an agreement with the state. So I'm a little bit concerned that that's conditional.
Right.
And
Yeah, well, from what I heard you say, he said he wasn't sure it was necessary. He didn't say not do it.
he actually did, and he said, if you want to do it, here's the document that you could use.
So now that you know how to do it,
Right. No, after 2012, I prefer to have all the i's dotted and all the t's crossed.
I want to make sure you two are comfortable with it because
That's right.
elections rest with both of you guys, okay, and us.
Well, and that's what Barbara and I did this weekend. We went through section by section of the code and made sure that we were moving forward with this, even though the state is running the election, that it was still in line with all of our code. And so then we made a work plan as we move forward so that we know what we need to do.
Sure.
Because this is being done in conjunction with the state, we're going to have multiple lawsuits filed if there's a bit of a problem at all. If there's a hint of 2012, they'll be flying up here.
Right.
So I'd rather not have that problem.
Right, and something as simple as a call for a special election, sure, we can end up, I think it's clear that you intended for the election to be, but
Yep.
I don't want to end up litigating over whether or not that was a call or not.
We're more than happy to have you guys bring
Okay.
it forward. We'll get it passed.
Okay,
Yep.
so that'll be on your agenda for the 23rd, and I think that was all that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Very good. Now, if the meeting will go that quick,
I'm going to move to adjourn this one. We're still on tape.
any objection? We stand adjourned.